I'm going to see if I can do just a next stage here relatively quickly. What is helpful is after you've sort of started sketching in these ideas and tried to stay light with your lines and sometimes being successful and sometimes not, that to help just get away sort of all the crazy mess. I'll do several sort of things, but sometimes I'll just sort of blend everything together, as well as just take my kneaded eraser and roll it up and do a little fun memory of Play-Doh making a snake sort of thing, and just knocking back all of those lines and points, because yes, they were sort of messy. But I do like to draw in a way that is more expressive, especially at the beginning. And then as I refine things to get more specific, but that's way down the line. So I think for the next step, what I'm going to think about is these shelves and the front edges of these shelves. And think about how they are, I'm assuming they're distributed evenly in this little shelf system, and they look pretty evenly distributed just in looking at the fronts. And I might just sort of double check that to kind of see by using my pencil and measuring from my thumbnail to the tip of the pencil to establish what that distance is, and see if indeed it's the same as this next distance. And it seems like maybe I didn't take careful enough, but they're slightly different. But once again, that's a good example of, yes, this is not a perfect shelf, and it's not a perfect photograph of a non-perfect shelf, and I'm an imperfect artist. But let's have fun anyways. I'm looking at this particular one because it's the most level, and this is sort of where I have decided that the eye level and the horizon line, or the dividing line between what would be considered up and what would be considered down. So I'm going to try to place this line, this front edge, in my block in here. And there's all sorts of ways I can do this, but I am sort of thinking about the proportion of the outer rectangle. And if I sketched in a guideline for where that might be on my rectangle, thinking about, does it fall exactly, where does it fall if I just split this whole thing into half? And this is all estimating, so more imperfection. But this is all sort of stuff trying to do relatively quickly and lightly so that I can get these ideas down and then refine as I keep going. And one thing I'm going to do, let's see, it might help to sort of at least indicate, okay, yeah, what would I would think was this total height and what would be the middle over here, so that I can relate that to the top and the bottom and the middle over here. And the other thing I'm going to do is once again use my R7 LJ. And as I'm looking at this and thinking of lowercase r, I can tell that the vertical is would actually be a lot longer than the horizontal, and the way I have it sketched in here, they were pretty even. So I'm looking at the imaginary 7 as well. And really saying that sort of the dimensions and the proportions for that were not so accurate for my first go. What a surprise. No, I expect, by surprise I mean, what a complete not surprise. I'm expecting all these to be wrong. So I don't go into the whole thing beating myself up, but just slowly trying to refine and hone in and have this system, some sort of system, to help get to where you want to go without getting too frustrated. Let me see if I think of now this as my J, my new J, capital J. Seems close. And that is an L. And kind of the same thing for the R and the 7. And I didn't, did I do that for the sort of the J here and the L here? Maybe, maybe not. But I feel like that's honing in on it. And what's nice about that is I haven't spent a whole lot of time trying to measure and proportion and all that. Every time you sort of move your hand with one of those systems where you're comparing one dimension with another, I find that more frustrating than helpful. But this is sort of getting closer. And I think what I'm going to do is pause there for now, refine a little bit maybe, and then come back and do some additional shelves. At least the front parts. And while I'm at it, I know there's more details. It's going to be other aspects, and definitely the piping, this center line is an important aspect, but that is inside, for the most part, this one main box shape, box form, I should say. So let me pause and be back in a couple.